Hi, it's Mrs. Santa Rosa here to help you with Unit 6, Day 9, using the trig ratios that we learned about the other day to find side lengths. So if we take a look, let's just take a look at the first question. We'll do the first one together. They give you this angle of 32 degrees and the hypotenuse of 18. They want us to find x, which is the opposite side, and y, which is the adjacent side with respect to the 32-degree reference angle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I guess, solve for x. Doesn't really matter, but I'll solve for x. It is the opposite side. We know the hypotenuse. So because we know the opposite side is x and the hypotenuse is 18, we're going to use, again, keep in mind, SOHCAHTOA. We're going to use the sine ratio. Okay? So let's go ahead and set up a ratio. The sine of 32 degrees is equal to the ratio of the opposite side, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 18. And then we're going to multiply both sides by 18, or you could put this over a 1 and think of it as a proportion and cross-multiply them. Either way, you'll get the same thing. So x equals 18 times the sine of 32. Okay, now they want us to round this to the nearest tenth, so now we go to the calculator. And you should always check your mode to make sure that your mode is not in radians but in degrees. As you can see, my mode is in radians, so I'm going to go down with my arrow key and over to the right, and I'm going to press enter so that it's now on degree. And then I can quit out, go back to the home screen, and I can actually do 18 now times the sine of 32 and press enter. And there's the answer. So the side length is about 9.5 units. They want us to round to the nearest tenth, so that will be 9.5. So x equals 9.5. Excuse me. So now we can take a look at y. With respect to 32 degrees, this is the adjacent side. And again, we know the hypotenuse is 18, so we'll be using the cosine ratio. So the cosine of 32 equals the adjacent side y over the hypotenuse 18, and once again we can cross multiply. If you put this over 1, or just multiply both sides by 18, so that the 18 cancels here, and then we get 18 times cosine 32 equals y. We go to the calculator, and once again 18 times the cosine of 32 gives us a side length of about 15.3, rounded to the nearest tenth. So 15.3 is equal to y. So B and C, D, E, F, they're all the same. You're going to use whatever ratio, the sine, the cosine, or the tangent, but you have to be very careful because in my first example, the triangle was sitting very nicely. You could see the angle. You're going to have to be very careful to decide what sides these are with respect to the angles. Opposite, adjacent. The hypotenuse is not used here, so that'll be a tangent ratio. So be super careful about that. Okay, you can also use trig ratios in application problems. So let's see here. Let's see about, we can do part of 4. I'm not doing both parts, but we certainly can do part A. So a ship may set a boat to sail exactly 27 degrees northeast from the dock. So there's the 27 degrees marked in the picture. After traveling 120 miles, which is labeled in your diagram, the shipmate realized he had misunderstood the instructions from the captain. He was supposed to set sail going directly east, so this was the way he was supposed to go here. So this was the direction he was supposed to go. So part A says, how many miles will the shipmate have to travel directly south? So we're looking for how much will he go directly south to be at the positioning that he was supposed to be in. Heading directly east. So we're going to round our answer to the nearest mile. With respect to 27 degrees, we are looking for the opposite side. And we know the hypotenuse of our right triangle is 120. So again, SOHCAHTOA, the ratio that uses opposite to hypotenuse is a sine. So I'm going to set up a sine ratio. So the sine of our angle, 27 degrees, is equal to the ratio of the opposite side over the hypotenuse. And put this over a 1 if you'd like to, or multiply both sides by 120, whatever it is that you care to do. X equals 120 times the sine of 27. And we go to the calculator. So 120 times the sine of 27. Enter and round to the nearest mile, which is about 54 miles. And I'm going to leave the rest of this problem to you. Number 5, they want you to solve for x in 2 different ways. So show the work. In other words, they want you to use 2 trig ratios. Okay? Good luck.